course, the 2020-2021 Premier League season has come to a close, and we all know who won. It was Manchester City. But, of course, what an our pick way back at the start of the season. Today, we're going to do just that, revisit that pick and see just how bad I am. Reaction video. Today we're going to react to my 2020-2021 Premier League predictions, which I made way back at the start of the season, and we'll get to that in just one second. If you're new to the channel, where the heck you been, boys? Smash your subscribe button and keep it bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Premier League related, whoa, football related. We got it all here on a bloody boat. That's right, in deepest, darkest Georgia, the state. As of course we build up to the start of the Euros. Of course, I want to recap on how I did last season with the Premier League. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the Patreons. Thank you for your continued support. But today we're going to take a little look at, of course, my Premier League predictions. So let's jump back into the vortex here. Of course, it's going to be a little bit different than usual, and we're going to hopefully see what I made way back. I think it was October, something like that. But anyway, let's jump in and have a little look. So behind me, there should be the video, of course, the original video I made way back when. I've got it at double speed, so hopefully we won't be dicking around too long, chewing on that. And of course, hopefully we'll be able to reveal where those teams finish up in the league. So let me just get this video queued up and skip through all this naff and trivia. And we're going to start smack dab in the middle, as we always do, in 11th spot. So kicking all off in 11th, I actually went for Burnley way back when. Of course, I thought they would have a decent season. Usually, of course, they're the bane of my life. But way back when, I thought they'd have a good season with Sean Dyche at sides. But fortunately, it was more towards the other end. They finished up way down in 17th. So yeah, I think moving forward, I think they're going to have to keep the hold of Sean Dyche. There's a lot of jobs on the market right here, right now. So they're going to be looking to keep a hold of him. Like I said, Palace might be an option for matey boy. Who else is up for grabs? Of course, Wolves as well, but I doubt he'll go there. Meanwhile, I went into 12th. I went for West Ham. Goodness gracious me, they did end up finishing in 6th. Of course, flirted with the top 4 towards the back end of the season, but ultimately ending up in 6th. That's a steady and a dramatic increase than last season. Of course, for me, I went with a mediocre rise, but of course they doubled that basically and have got themselves European football next season in the Europa League. So into 13th, I went with Leeds United. They did even better than that. Goodness gracious me, they finished in 9th in the end. So fair play to Bielsa's boys. Came into the Premier League with a bit of a, I thought 13th was great. To finishing in the top 10 in the first season back, that's tremendous. I think Bielsa's boys will get better next season. Of course, second season syndrome is the one you got to keep an eye out for Leeds next season. And again, we'll have our early door picks, early door picks, of course, early next week. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one for the new season. So yeah, 13th spot for Leeds for me. Yeah, it was an okay course. I think it was a decent shout, that, when you think about all promoted teams struggle as well on their first season back. But into 14th, I went for Aston Villa, and again, tremendous season for Aston Villa, finishing in 11th. Of course, the top of the worst, top of the bottom half. So not too shabby. Dean Smith's boys again get growing with expectations, season on. Of course, 2 seasons now in the Premier League. I think it's a steady rise, maybe a top half finish next season for them. And of course, keeping hold of Jack Grealish, I think, is the key for them in moving into the summer. I think they will keep a hold of him. He is the talisman. He is the face of the place. He is the Aston Villa fan. So we'll see how they get on. Next up, I had Sheffield United. Oh my goodness gracious me! I would have stood by this 15th spot if Sheffield United would have stuck my Chris Wilder. Unfortunately, they finished up in 20th. They got 7 wins this season. Is that right? Goodness gracious me! I thought they only had a couple. But yeah, they had a terrible season this season. Of course, tremendous season last season. But of course, they couldn't match those dizzy heights that they were flirted with last season. So they are down. They are out. They're in the Championship. Again, I think the prediction or the result should have reflected mine really if Wilder was still in charge. But again, we'll never know. So yeah, a 15th spot for me there. Into 16th, I had the Geordies. That's not too bad of a shout. Actually, they finished up at as dizzy heights as 12th, which of course will please Ashley. It'll please Steve Bruce. It'll hurt the fans. Of course, they want a new face around the place. They want new faces around the place. They want to get rid of Ashley. They want to get rid of Bruce. A strong end to the season. Of course, I thought Chris Willett was tremendous for them this season, getting the goals in and making Newcastle a decent opposition towards the end, back end of the season. Yeah, that'll be priority, getting him on the board next season to see if they can maybe kick on from this. And I think it's a steady improvement on 12th. Into 17th, I had Fulham. Fulham obviously going down into 18th, so unfortunately just one spot difference. And again, that hurt in the end. Of course, it doesn't really matter where I finished them, but of course they're going down. Of course, Scotty Parker's stock is still high. Unfortunately, couldn't do it this time. In the end, I think they were quite a long way short with that quality, especially up front goals-wise. So that is an area they need to be. I don't know why they didn't play Mitrovic. Of course, he's a goal-scoring machine at any other place, but of course not in the Premier League. I don't know why they don't play him. Into 18th, maybe this one is something for next season. Crystal Palace down in the relegation spots was my pick back then, but of course they finished up in 14th with Roy Hodgson. Of course, tremendous management. Of course, been there, seen it, and done it. Of course, now we'll move on to pastures new. So maybe next year it's going to be more like this 18th spot and less like this 14th spot. We'll keep that in mind. So Crystal Palace, in my eyes, we're going to go down, but again, a season of stability with Roy Hodgson. Of course, a tremendous manager, and again, some people say he's retiring, some people say he's going to do something else. We'll see. I fancy him to go back into international management. Another weird country. It's 19th. I had Brighton, that's right. Of course, they did finish it in 16th. I did have them going down. Didn't believe in the Potter's boys, but guess what? Potter's boys are on the rise. Potter's stock is on the rise. He's done a tremendous job with Brighton. 2 seasons now, kept them in the Premier League, and I think he's going to be moving on to possibly pastures new this summer because of course jobs on the offering. I doubt he'll go to Crystal Palace. That is their technical rival. I don't think he won't go to Wolves. He might go to Spurs. Of course, they're looking for a new manager. We'll see how that pans out. Into 20th, I did have West Brom. They finished in 19th, so I was pretty close to the money on that one. Of course, they started with Slavan. They went with Big Sam, and now they're looking for Chris Wilder, it looks like. I fear them next season. I think they'll be a decent weapon in the Championship next season, but again, they struggled this season. They've got some really good players, and I think they'll go on to pastures new. Of course, Conor Gallagher was on loan. Pereiro's decent. He'll find a new home. I think some clubs are in Germany looking at him already. So into the top 10 we go. We have Southampton. Wow. They actually finished in 15th. There was some early parts of the season they were flirting up there in that in the European spots, but of course the cream rose to the top towards the end. And of course Southampton pushed towards the bottom. And again, if the season were a little bit longer, they might have ended up back towards that relegation spots. But Ralph Hasenhüttl is a decent manager. He's doing wonders with what he's got at the moment. So we'll see how he can handle next summer. Of course, if he sticks around again, the managerial merry-go-round will have a domino effect across the Premier League, and including managers in jobs at the moment. So into 9th, I had Wolves, of course, finishing in 13th. A bit of a dismal season, of course, ultimately ending with Nuno Espirito Santo moving on. He didn't resign. He wasn't sacked, but he just decided to pack it on in. Rumours were having it he was going to go to Spurs. It might still pan out that way. We'll have to wait and see. Bruno Lage looks like to be the man coming in for Wolves, again, Portuguese, and he's of course a nice-looking manager, decent record with Benfica, and of course we'll see how he pans out if that was to be the case. But 9th for me, yeah, not really that good. Next up, at 8th place, Everton. Everton finished in 10th. To be honest with you, that's a bit of a woeful performance at the end of the day. They were flirting with top 4 for a good part of the season, and it looked like they were nailed on with Ancelotti in charge. 10th is a bit of a concern. They're not even in any European competition whatsoever, despite flirting with that top 4. It was quite tight towards the back end of it, with, of course, 3 or 4 teams competing with that last Europa League spot, the conference spot. Everton falling short in the end, and Ancelotti will have to go again, hopefully. Into 7th, I had Leicester. Leicester did actually finish it in 5th, and again flirted with the title for a little bit, and also flirted with the top 4, but ultimately tumbling out towards the end. And like I said, cream has risen to the top. The top 4 are the top 4, you would say, and of course Leicester City will have to dip out. But of course 5th place is ain't nothing to be looked to sniffed at. They'll have Europa League football, and of course a chance to get in the Champions League, the back door, maybe like Manchester United do today. Of course, an option, even though they're already there. Into 6th, I had Spurs. Spurs finished actually in 7th. Of course, Mourinho was in charge when he made that pick, and I still believe they could have probably risen much further than this 7th. I think he was harshly fired, especially before the League Cup. I thought he would have done a much better job than Ryan Mason. Ryan Mason, I don't think is cut for this gig just at the mark time. He's still very young. He's like, I don't know, babyface assassin. I'm going to pause it right there because I'm going nuts on this. But yeah, I think Mourinho would have done better than 7th. I think they would have probably get to 5th. If I'm honest with you, I think they pulled the trigger too soon. I should have said, wait till the end of the season, see where you ended up, because I ultimately think they would have finished in that top 4, or at least top 5, and maybe even kept Harry Kane happy as well. But of course, all that's gone pear-shaped. Spurs are now looking for a new manager, big name as well. Potter has been linked, Ten Hag has been linked, a lot of other faces have been linked, and of course the future of Harry Kane will be something we'll be chewing on all summer. So yeah, 6th place for me was Spurs. They ultimately ended up finishing in 7th, which isn't too bad in the end. So into the Power 5 we go. Of course, don't see any Arsenal anywhere. Of course, they had a bit of a nightmare season themselves. Are they fifth? Are they fourth? They are not fifth. I went with Manchester United in fifth, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer behind the wheel. They actually finished in second, did a tremendous job, of course. Bruno Fernandes has got them ticking at the right end. Of course, Cavani was a great success, scoring the goals both in domestic and European competition. And of course, their competition with the goalkeepers at the back. It could end up with a bit of silverware at the end of the day. We'll find that out today. But we're recording this on the final of the Europa League. But yeah, a much better season than I did. And I think it could just get better and better for Ole next season. If he can invest right, get the right players in the door, they might even compete for that title more traditionally next season, as long as they have the ingredients in the win. So I went with fifth place Manchester United, which again, still no Arsenal, which is going to make me look very, very silly. How silly did that make me feel? We'll have a little gander in a second. So for me, I went with Leicester City in fifth. In the real world, was Leicester City in fifth. So for me, Manchester United fifth on this one, and of course second in the real world. So into number 4 we go. Of course, in the real world, it was Chelsea, but of course, in my prediction, it was Arsenal. I did anticipate getting them top 4. I believed in the Arteta project. I thought it was going to be something that's going to get exciting, something that will heat up a little bit. And of course, maybe it'll be with baby Mourinho, of course, in the making. But of course, it didn't really work out that way. I don't know what's gone on. Lack of quality in that team. The players that are there. Willian's a bit of a flop. Luiz is also he's deadbeat. And of course, they are either gone or looking to be moved on. Pepe didn't really click into top gear towards the back end of the season. I think it was too little too late. But of course, lots of other exciting options for Arsenal need to be re-explored in the summer. Of course, Odegaard came in and did a little bit of magic in the middle of the park, of course. But ultimately, the quality is starved from Arsenal, and they need to rebrand, reboot. I don't know, with or without Arteta. It looks like it's going to be with Arteta. I don't think they're going to change it just yet. I think they'll give him another season to see how he can change it up a little bit and maybe back him. Of course, we're not even just talking about the Super League, but of course with the Super League, a lot of upset fans, a lot of upset fans at the board. The boards across these big 4, big 6, whatever you want to call it, may use money to try and to keep the fans sweet. So we might look at Arsenal in that vein, and they might look to re-improve their squad by bringing in some big name players to kind of sweeten the deal with the fans. We'll have to wait and see about that. But Arsenal, yeah, flattering to deceive. Ultimately finishing in 8th, which of course is better than Everton, who Everton were, of course, flattering with that top 4, top 6, whatever, for a good part of the season. So really a steady, slow burning rise. Maybe if the season was 2 or 3 months longer, maybe Arsenal could get into the top 6. But ultimately, yeah, a bit shy on that one. So yeah, I went with Arsenal in 4th. Into 3rd, it was Chelsea in my eyes. Of course, they finished it in 4th. It was, of course, on the last day of the season, a bit of dramatic affairs going on. Of course, Chelsea up and down, in and out, left, right, and centre. We just didn't know which way I was going to go. Thomas Tuchel's come in from, of course, who was in charge at the start of the season? It was Frank Lampard, of course. Yes, again, I think if Frank Lampard was in charge, he probably would have ended up in 6th or 7th spot. I think Tuchel has come in, provided a defensive backbone to this team. Of course, it's been reflected by the fact that they're in the Champions League final. And of course, they're in the FA Cup final as well. So he's breeding success. He might end up with the end of the season with nothing, but of course, he has secured top 4, which is, of course, the minimal, I think, requirement right now at Chelsea. If you don't finish top 4, guess what? You're on your way out. So Thomas Tuchel has done an okay job so far. I'm looking forward to a full season with him in charge. I came in with my reservations with Tuchel when he came in. I wasn't too sure about it, but of course he's come in, he's looked energetic, he's looked enthusiastic about this job, and of course you can see it on the touchline as well. So next season, big season for Tuchel, but of course Chelsea ultimately finishing in 4th. I had them in 3rd, not too shabby. Of course, into the top 2 we go now. Of course, it's not going to be the top 2 that you think. It's going to be a little bit different, of course. So I think in the real world, of course, it was Manchester United in 2nd. I think in my eyes, I actually went with Manchester City. I think I went with back-to-back titles for Liverpool, of course. So let me just hold that sucker right there. So yeah, I went with City to 2nd. Of course, they finished, of course, as champions by some distance. And of course, Liverpool had early door injuries from the Merseyside derby, early doors in the season, which pretty much ended their season or ended their attempt at the title. Of course, losing a talisman, and it is a massive loss. It's not just losing one of your centre backs; it's losing your captain, it's losing your man, your heartbeat of that club at the moment. Virgil van Dijk injured, of course, and then they lose Gomez as well. both key centre-backs, of course, which made Liverpool so unbeatable the prior season. But of course, this season didn't really work out the way they had to use stop gaps, bringing in young Ben Davies from Preston, bringing in Oback from relegated now, Schalke, and of course relying on, of course, some young guns who, of course, were playing for like Bolton and other, maybe, I don't even know, some of the lower league teams on loan in the previous campaign. So to finish up as high as third in the end, goodness gracious me, it's not just fourth, they finished in third from where they were looking maybe just a month ago. It's actually a tremendous job what Ari Klopp has done, but of course those guys that came in to fill in the void for Van Dijk and Gomez. Yeah, ultimately, yeah, my picks are a little bit helter-skelter all over the shops. I'm a little bit disappointed with the teams that are predicted to go down. Realistically, I should have went with my gut, which would have been backing those, of course, promoted teams, West Brom and Fulham, to go down, and of course maybe re-evaluate Sheffield United. But of course, when you look back at that, you think, you know, Chris Wilder's there, he did a fantastic job first season there, but we did not know what was going to go ahead, of course, with his dismissal. As for the top of the table, of course, Manchester City are in my top two. It was either them or Liverpool. Of course, if Liverpool had those two centre-backs throughout the season, I think it would have been a little bit different, especially in that top two. I think Manchester would not be in second. I think they would definitely be in third, or maybe even fourth. I don't know why they would be in fourth, but they would definitely be in third. But yeah, next season, of course, only around the corner. Oh, not really around the corner, but we'll know the 20 teams that are going to be in the Premier League next season. So, coming up to you within less than 4 or 5 days, I will do my 2021-2022 early door predictions for you before any of the major transfers happen. What I think is going to happen with, of course, those newly arrived Championship clubs, and of course, the re-looked Premier League. So make sure you come back for that. But that's it, my boys. That is it. So yeah, not too shabby. Be sure to give the video some love and smash your thumbs up, smash your subscribe. Also check out the links down below. I'm on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and of course Patreon as well. Also check out the Discord. It's wide open. I'm not really there myself this week. I'm on the road, as you say, in deepest, darkest Georgia. But we'll be back, heading back on the road on Sunday. So we should be back in full throttle next week. But yeah, check out the links. Of course, we've got lots of Premier League football predictions and videos up ahead for the new season. So make sure you come back for that. But until then, I'll see you soon for the next. Until then, I'm out.